The title of the next online systems game is a little misleading. High-Res Adventure Number 0 Mission Asteroid by Roberta and Ken Williams. Was also made in 1980. Written and illustrated by Roberta and coded by Ken, and distributed first for the Apple II and later for other systems. It was marketed as an easier, introductory type adventure. It was also, despite the title's implications, their third game, not Game 0. Much of my research in this particular game turns up claims that it was primarily intended for children, but I can find nothing by Ken, Roberta, or online/S.A.G.A that conclusively states this. In fact, as you can see here, in many of their catalogs, it only states slightly easier and shorter or designed for the beginner. And though it is shorter, I would argue that it is not easier, being that even though the game tells you almost everything you need to do, there are a few things that make no sense. See, in this game, the player is an astronaut for the United States Air Force, and they're tasked with a top-secret mission. Take a rocket up into space, land on an asteroid, drop off some hand-carried explosives, and get out of there before it blows up. The reason? Because there's a huge asteroid on a collision course with the planet Earth. Huge, as in large enough to destroy all life on Earth. This is the first dead man switch mechanic, a countdown timer before the asteroid hits the Earth. That happens and it is game over. And though that can be forgiven, the fact that every action the player takes uses up 5 minutes. Go from one room to the next, takes 5 minutes. Look at your watch, takes 5 minutes. Push a button, 5 minutes. And, as we know, timers themselves are not very beginner-friendly. So let's get to the reason you came, gameplay. And this time we'll be using a Commodore 64. Now these things were insanely popular in the microcomputer era, and for good reason. Price. A C64 with a CPM1541 disk drive was around $900 US, where the Apple II, in comparison, with no drive, was $1,300. But they brought with them a horrible flaw. A hardware design that did not work as anticipated, brought about by the required compatibility with the VIC-20's CBM1540 drive, crippled transfer speeds. As in about 300 baud. In a world where the Atari 8-bit was pulling 2400 baud and the Apple was screaming at 15,000 baud, this left the Commodore as merely a toy in most serious-minded individuals. That means even using something like Jiffy DOS, there is a lot of waiting for load times. Now the first we're going to do is load the game itself. And I'm going to just use the generic wildcard loading setting because I do not wish to take the time that it takes to do everything properly. Sierra Online Incorporated, trademark, presents Ken and Roberta Williams' Mission Asteroid. Commodore version by Bobbitt, copyright 1983, Sierra Online Inc. And here is our first screen. You are in front of a building. The first thing we are going to do is have a look at our inventory. You hear a noise, beep, beep, beep. A watch. You are in front of a building. Let's go ahead and have a look at our watch. The beeper watch has a switch on it. The time is 12:05. You hear a noise, beep, beep, beep. You are in front of a building. Let's go ahead and press the switch. A voice from the beeper watch says, "This is Mission Control. You are to report to the briefing room at once. The password is Starstruck." Here, let's open the door. It's going to take a moment to redraw everything. And then we are going to go inside, and to do that we need to go to the door. And this is the room with the secretary. It's the front office of the building. There's a secretary here. There's a doorway to the north and a doorway to the east. We want to talk to the secretary. The secretary says hello. We're still in the front office, so we are going to give her the password, which is Starstruck. The secretary says, "You may now pass." We're still in the front office, and we are going to go north. You're at a junction of hallways. One hallway goes east and west. The other goes south. South is the direction we came from. We are now going to go west. There is a general here. I think you had better salute. You are in a briefing room, so let's go ahead and salute the general. The general salutes back and says, an asteroid is about to hit the Earth. You must fly to the asteroid and blow it up. Of course, this information is top secret. The asteroid is projected to strike the Earth at 19:15 hours tonight. He then leaves. You are in the briefing room. So here we want to go east again. And then we want to go east again. There is a diskette on the table. You're in the computer room. There is a Commodore 64 computer here. There are doorways to the east and west. In the Apple version, that's an Apple computer, not a Commodore 64. And we want to get the diskette. And this took me a little while to figure out because I did not know what to do with the diskette. And eventually I realized I could not play the diskette, I could not run the diskette, I could not load the diskette. But if I insert the diskette, it asks me, put it into what? Answer question. So I am going to put it into the drive. And since Commodore 64s do not always auto-boot, but this was originally created for the Apple II, Apple IIs have an auto-boot function for most of their game. You see where that is going? Ken and Roberta programmed it to behave like an actual Apple II. Up on the monitor comes your flight plan. Go right for 10 minutes, up for 5 minutes, left for 15 minutes, down for 5 minutes, left for 5 minutes, and up for 10 minutes. We are not going to follow this pattern. We're going to trim that pattern and you will see. We're still in the computer room. We want to go east again. There are some explosives here. You're in the supply room. There are doorways to the north, east, and west. Let's get the explosives. And then examine the explosives. I see nothing special. We are going to go east again. You are in the gym. There are doorways to the north, east, and west. I do not understand why it makes us do this, but we cannot proceed farther in the game past a certain point unless we take the time to exercise. Okay, you needed a good workout. You're in the gym. There are doorways to the north, east, and west. From here, we're going to go east again. You're in the shower room. There is a doorway to the west. Let's take a shower. Ah, that feels refreshing. You're in the shower room. There's a doorway to the west. Since the west is the only direction we can go, and from here we want to go north because we're passing through the gym again. You're in a long tunnel. There's a doorway to the east. We want to go north again. And this room is the room that has a doctor. It's the pre-flight checkout room. There are doorways to the west and south. South is behind us from where we came. We cannot go through the doorway to the west unless we have both exercised and taken a shower. If we exercise and attempt to go without taking a shower, the doctor will not let us go through. If we take a shower without exercising, the doctor will not let us go through. Let's talk to the doctor. The doctor asks how you are feeling. We want to tell the doctor that we are feeling good. That's good. We're still in the pre-flight checkout room. We want to open the door now. And then go west. You're on the airfield. You see a rocket in the distance. Let's go north to get closer to the rocket. You are below the rocket. There is a ladder going up. There is a road going south behind you. Let's go ahead and climb the ladder. You're at the door of the rocket. A ladder is going down. There is a button by the door. Let's push the button. The door open. Let's go to the door. You are in the vacuum lock room of the rocket. There is a blue and an orange button on the wall. Being that the door is blue, we are just going to push the blue button. Opens the door. The north door opens and the south door closes, and the ladder rolls up into the rocket, and you hear a whooshing sound. You're in the vacuum lock room of the rocket. There is a blue and an orange button on the wall. Let's go north through the door. You're in the control room of the rocket. There is a console and a window here. There is a violet button on the wall beside you. Let's push the violet button. The door closes. Here we want to examine the console. There's a sign, 4 buttons, and a throttle on the console. So let's read the sign. The sign says, to operate this rocket, press the throttle for liftoff. Pull the throttle to land. Pushing the white, black, orange, and blue buttons will ignite the booster rockets to move the rocket left, right, up, or down, respectively. So let's push the throttle. You are orbiting the Earth. Now, if you remember, it wanted us to do right for 10 minutes, up for 5 minutes, left for 15 minutes, down for 5 minutes, left for 5 minutes, up for 10 minutes. We're going to optimize that and instead push the white button, which takes us left. And we are in space, and we are going to push the white button again and continue going left. And then we want to push the orange button, which is up. And then push the orange button again to go up one more time. And we are orbiting the asteroid. Now you notice there are 3 craters here. If there is something other than 3 craters, it tended to crash. So we're just going to go with accepting that 3 craters good, 2 craters or 4 craters bad. So here we want to pull the throttle so that we land. And then we want to go west again, taking us into a room with a spacesuit. This is the storage room of the rocket, and there's a doorway to the east. We want to get the suit. And then we want to examine the suit. There is a dial on the suit. Now this dial is very important. It is our air supply. So we are going to wear the suit. We are then going to go east, back into the control room. And here we want to push the violet button. The door opens, and we are going to go south. We are back in the vacuum lock room. I would have called it an airlock, but each to their own. And here we want to set the timer. This is setting the timer on the explosives. To how many minutes? I'm going to say 150 minutes. And then we are going to turn the dial on the spacesuit. Now we push the orange button. That seals the room. The north door closes and the south door opens, and the ladder unrolls to the ground, and you hear a whooshing sound. You're in the vacuum lock room of the rocket. There is a blue and an orange button on the wall. We want to go south, which takes us outside. Here at the door of the rocket, a ladder is going down. Let's go down. When we start moving around from here below the rocket, it's sort of like a maze. And instead of getting caught up in the maze, I'm just going to take us directly where we are supposed to go because we are on a timer. So we are going to go south from here. We are on a small asteroid, and then we go west. You're on a small asteroid. There is a cave here. Let's go to the cave. You're in a cave. A passageway goes south. Let's go south. You're in a cave. It ends right here. There is a very deep pit here. A passageway goes north. Let's drop the explosives. Where? In the pit or on the floor? We are going to drop it in the pit. Okay, you have dropped the explosives in the pit. And now we need to get out of here, so we are going to go north. Back in the cave, and then go north again. And this puts us on the small asteroid next to the cave. We are going to go south. Which puts us on the small asteroid, and as you can see, the rocket is in the distance. And then we will go north again. And then we are going to, instead of going climb ladder, let's just go up. It's more quick that way. And then here at the door, we're going to go to the door. So we are back in the vacuum lock room, and here we push the blue. And I am going to turn the dial on my suit again. That turns the air off, and then we are going to go north. And then we are going to push the violet button. The door closes, and then we push the throttle. And we are orbiting the asteroid. Let's push the blue. Which puts us out in space. And then push the blue again. Here we want to push the black button. Then we want to push the black button again. And then we want to push the white button. Which puts us orbiting the Earth. And then we are going to pull the throttle, which will bring us back down. And we are in the control room of the rocket, and as you can see outside, we can see the buildings where we took off from. And here we just need to waste time. As you can see, the time is 1840, so it is not quite time for the asteroid to hit the Earth yet. So let's look at our watch again. The asteroid has exploded. You have saved the Earth. Ken and Roberta Williams, thank you for playing Mission Asteroid. Goodbye. You may notice this game had sort of an Armageddon vibe to it, except no drilling. Instead, just find a convenient cave with an even more convenient pit to throw our explosives into. Still, this game was originally coded in 1980, ported to the C64 in 1983, and both Armageddon and Deep Impact, the other Asteroid movie, came out in 1998. That does not bother me much. What does, instead, is the fact that this game completely ignores the physics of asteroid debris. There should be giant chunks of asteroid raining down on the planet. I'm pretty sure those hand-carried explosives are not going to break up everything into convenient, burn-upable fragments. There's still going to be huge chunks of rock falling all over the side of the Earth facing the explosion. Another thing that disturbs me is that this game has extra steps that you have to take. I know, I mentioned them while I was playing, but honestly, why would a game billing itself as beginner-friendly and working on a countdown timer require a player to have to do extra things like exercise before a mission? Do they want an exhausted astronaut handling explosives and trying to parallel park next to some crater? Did the shower really help? Did the doctor really not do anything other than ask, "How are you doing?" That could have been done by a head of cabbage. And that entire waste of time for a flight plan. If we had followed it, there would have not been enough time to actually escape the explosion. Instead, we had to optimize it, and honestly, I love math more than the next girl, but this is supposed to be a beginner-friendly game. All that said, I need to point out, to an experienced IFTA player, this game was a cakewalk. And though short, I would still suggest it to anyone who has a solid grasp of the genre. Not only that, but a quick shout out to Jiffy DOS for severely reducing load and seek time. Well worth the time to set it up. And speaking of shout outs, why don't you do me a solid and like and or subscribe? Only it's going to take you a moment and you'll get all kinds of great karma for being nice to me. And with all the time that Jiffy DOS saved us, why not take a moment to leave me a comment? You can even leave a request. I like requests. Requests are the future of this channel. Tell me what you want to see and I'll try to make it happen. So have fun, be well, and I look forward to our next adventure together.